We came across an integral Facebook page where a group of fundamentalist emergentist materialists somehow thought they were part of the integral movement. How bizarre. Their short-tempered, snarky, self-appointed leader has no social graces and is marked by a total lack of diplomacy, something of a problem in a community where you are telling everyone they are right. This person is some sort of talentless wannabe hip-hop artist, or something. He's certainly not a person with any mathematical, scientific or philosophical qualifications or nous. He never actually gives any arguments why the positions he is attacking are allegedly false. He merely asserts the rightness of his own views, the rightness of which he at all times takes for granted, exactly as you see with Christian and Muslim fundamentalists. He appears wholly lacking in the basic requirement of a philosopher to at least attempt to understand his opponent's position. In fact, he seems utterly ignorant of the philosophical positions of his opponents, and the philosophical traditions they reflect. He clearly has no understanding at all of the philosophical position of idealism and rationalism and dismisses it straight away because it's not materialism and empiricism. He has no actual arguments against it and manifestly knows nothing about it. This is a person who has never once studied Pythagoras, Plato, Aristotle, Plotinus, Descartes, Leibniz, Berkeley, Kant, Fichte, Schelling, Hegel, Schopenhauer, Hartmann and Gödel. He has no familiarity at all with their arguments, which means he always comes across as a rank amateur, which, of course, is exactly what he is. He appears to have no qualifications at all to meaningfully enter any debate concerning philosophy, science and mathematics. Most of his knowledge appears to come from YouTube videos by his favorite materialist fundamentalists. It's amazing how people now defend their positions not by showing that their opponents are wrong, but by inserting a link to YouTube videos with which they agree. Why don't you go the whole hog and just quote from the Bible to people that don't believe in the Bible? The last way in which you will be taken seriously by your opponents is by repeating your own mantras over and over again without showing any knowledge of what your opponent's arguments are. No one can say that we haven't given Ken Wilber a fair crack of the whip. We have directly quoted him and gone out of our way to explain his positions and motivations. That's what we have to do in order to refute him. Remember what Scott Hamilton said about Ken Wilber. Looking through Wilber's attempts at philosophy, I find no evidence that he understands even the sort of basic philosophical concepts that undergraduates majoring in the subject learn. I certainly can't see that he has a grasp of key debates in philosophy over the past 100 years. Ken Wilber is a symptom of the breach which has opened up in the West between serious scholarship and popular opinion. Exactly the same is true of this hip-hop amateur. The more he is refuted by more literate opponents, the shriller he gets and the more he insists on the correctness of his fundamentalist materialist views. He is wholly unaware that materialism has been totally falsified by idealism. Of course, you can't meaningfully argue with a position you know nothing about, bar whatever cartoon straw men you have created. No scientific materialist has even once engaged with idealism and attempted to address its definitive case against materialism. Scientists, and their fellow travelers, don't do philosophy. Never forget, whatever you are ignorant of can never inform your opinions. So if you know nothing about mathematics, then any ideas you come up with will always be infected by the absence of mathematical content. If reality is mathematical, which it obviously is for anyone with eyes to see, there are mathematical patterns everywhere you look, then any non-mathematical ideas will be false from the get-go. Why is science successful? It's for one reason only: it uses math. It's certainly nothing to do with observation and experiments, as scientists themselves would like you to believe. The alchemists carried out countless observations and experiments, and got absolutely nowhere. So much for empiricism. Mathematical rationalism is the truth. So, these integral emergentist materialists are intent on replacing the integral brand with integral 2.0. Oh dear, it sounds like someone is saying that Ken Wilber is wrong, when of course integral is all about saying everyone is right. Fundamental contradiction, or what? What's the point of saying everyone is right if you just keep contradicting them and reaching totally different conclusions? Why can't these pseudo-integral theorists simply say Wilber is wrong, integral is wrong and emergentist materialism is right, which is self-evidently what their position is? What's so hard about that? Well, these people are all emotionalists, emergentist feeling types, we might say, who just can't bear to accept the logic of their own position, which would require them to say that everyone who rejects emergentist materialism is wrong. If, in fact, it's emergentist materialism that is wrong, which it obviously is, it's 100% irrational and illogical, and is simply about labeling rather than explaining, then all of these people are automatically wrong too. These bizarre emergentist materialist integral theorists say that idealism is false. Well, they are fundamentalist materialists, after all. But how can idealism be wrong if everyone is right, which must include the idealists? You can't go around saying everyone is right and then blatantly saying that what they believe is wrong and must be rejected. A person who says that idealism is wrong and emergentist materialism is right is by definition a materialist. They are by definition not integral. They have taken a clear position against idealism and integral. They are picking a fight, not seeking unity and integration. They are advocates for certain positions that make them direct opponents of those who take opposite positions. They are in the division game, not the unity game. So why do they refer to themselves as integral? It's baffling. The Integral 2.0 gang, or anti-integral, as they ought to be called, deny the reality of mind, teleology, soul, afterlife, perfection or transcendence. You can't get any more materialist than that, so why on earth don't these people just call themselves materialists? Materialism is the only thing they're preaching. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. These people are like Sam Harris, a fundamentalist materialist who denies free will yet engages in Buddhist meditation and claims to be spiritual. How can you be spiritual if you're a materialist and are devoid of free will? The Integral 2.0 gangs say that consciousness is an emergent quality of matter. Yawn. Why do people go on believing in logical impossibilities? That's irrationalism for you. These Integral 2.0 people bizarrely believe in the trans-rational. What on earth does that have to do with materialism? Which is obviously why they are so irrational and so illogical. They believe that miracles, trans-rational entities, can emerge from matter, just as mind supposedly emerged from mindless matter, life from lifeless matter, and consciousness from things that have no possibility of consciousness. Alternative evolution. Naive people say that evolution is proved. If they mean Darwinian evolution based on random genetic mutation and natural selection, then this definitely isn't proved. It's no more proved than the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics is proved. Plenty of alternative quantum mechanical interpretations have been advanced and never been disproved, and plenty of alternatives to Darwinism are also possible. Evolution is incompatible with passive matter. To get inert matter to do anything, the standard materialist trick is to invoke random action or miraculous emergence. Evolution, to be a logical concept, can only be driven by striving, developing, teleological entities, i.e. by minds. There is simply no question at all that evolution proceeds in an active, idealist, rationalist framework, not a passive, materialist, empiricist framework, as per Darwinism, a fundamentalist materialist theory, when interpreted by the likes of Richard Dawkins. People keep mistaking interpretations, misinterpretations, for proven facts. Materialist fundamentalists are especially prone to this problem.